Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Dr. Sulaiman Alhasawi. I'm founder of Zero in Tech. As a company, we do ICS and OT cybersecurity. I do many things. I write blogs and articles about cybersecurity and OT security. I also podcast on YouTube and interview professionals. I also offer training and consultation. So, addressing the significance of today's panel, our world is rapidly digitizing, and with it, the convergence of IT and OT is gaining momentum. The protection of our industrial control system is not just about securing data, it's about ensuring the safety, reliability, and continuity of services that millions rely on daily. This panel brings together bright minds to discuss, understand, and collaboratively find solutions to be pressing challenges in ICT cybersecurity. So, thank you, and let's embark on this enlightening journey together. Hello, everybody. So this panel is 30 minutes. We have 8 minutes introduction for each guest, for each speaker, and 22 minutes question and answers. Our guests feel free to ask any question, or I will go ahead and ask them. So who will start with? Could you, hi Mr. Dhari. Mr. Dhari Al-Ajmi. He's head of, could you give us an introduction about, 2 minutes introduction about yourself, please?
So I'm handling the OT cybersecurity part for Kuwait Petrochemicals. So basically I handle all the cyber activities in Kuwait and Germany as well, and support other North American plants that we have there. Yeah. Hello? Yes. So yeah, I'll just repeat. My name is Dhari Al-Ajmi. I'm handling the OT cybersecurity for Kuwait Petrochemicals. So we produce petrochemicals such as plastics, different types of plastics, raw materials for plastics, from polyethylene to ethylene glycol. And I take care of Kuwait's site and, of course, of Germany's site as well. And we have other plants in North America where we support these sites from the OT specific cybersecurity part. Yeah.
Great. Now we speak to Mr. Ali.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for the. Okay. Thank you, Ahmed. My name is Ali Al-Enz, and I work as security architecture in National Bank of Kuwait. I know that National Bank of Kuwait does not have any, ICS infrastructure, but this I do it as a interest. I have done a research back in 2018 in IoT and how to improve the cybersecurity within the IoT infrastructure within Kuwait. So my research was about, how to introduce the cybersecurity controls towards something like, Suq al-Barkiya, smart cities in Kuwait. So from that point, I have taken SANS course 410, which is about PLC, HMI, and how to secure them, Purdue model, how to work on that. From that sense, I have built my own small traffic control system, and I have presented that in India back in 2020 in Loyola College. So I felt like I have a connection with this field. I'm not doing fully ICS, but times to times, I follow your tweets and videos. So on that field, this is what I'm interested.
Cool. Thank you. Now we speak Dr. Sridhar from University of Bristol. Could you introduce yourself?
I hope everybody can hear me. Hi everyone, I'm Sridhar Adepu. I'm a lecturer at University of Bristol. I'm part of the cybersecurity group. My research around industrial control system security, I started this field in 2015, and most of my work, experimental work, where I was establishing and operationalizing test beds in different sectors like water as well as power. As I showed the pictures like water treatment, water distribution and power. And then I was also doing much into cyber exercises, where we involve different attack teams and defense teams from industries as well as academia, including governments actually. And then, we conduct the CTF events and see how to train the people in this field, because as many people mentioned from the previous talks, so we have like OT side, developers and the cybersecurity teams in general, they are not talking. I think they're not working together. I think that is one of the problem in industry. When it comes to research side, I apply foundations of cybersecurity, formal methods, and machine learning into safety, security, and resilience of cyber physical systems. From risk assessments and evaluation, reducing the risk assessment, evaluation of resilience, and anomaly detection, and so on.
Right. Mr. Engineer Abdulaziz Alhumoud, introduce yourself, please.
Assalamu alaikum. This is Abdulaziz Alhumoud. I'm working at Quebec, and I also a researcher in cybersecurity in the field of OT, in addition to the IT. I have a professional certification as a CISSP, CEH, and CHFI. I have been working on this field around 15 years. And welcome to your questions and answers.
You're welcome. Okay. Now I have my notes. We start with Dr. Sridhar. But before I ask you, anybody has any question for Dr. Sridhar? Before I ask. Anybody?
Maybe people want to go for lunch, it looks like.
Okay, maybe later. Maybe later. Okay. I saw your presentation. It's quite interesting.
Thank you.
And you focus too much on the test beds and labs. So what's the goal of doing that? The test bed. What was the goal, the motivation, the objective of doing this?
Okay, so we would like to do practical work, which is directly transferable to the industry. Even I'm part of the university. So let's say if we do work in simulation like MATLAB or other simulations, so that's not directly transferable to the industry. And same time, let's say if I'm training people in MATLAB or simulation, and they are recruiting them to do like oil and gas systems, how they can work? They never touch the device. They never touch the PLC. They never touch the real protocol. They never touch the real SCADA system. So it's not possible for someone who trained only in simulation environment and go and work readily for the industries or government, and some people go for policy making and so on. I think we should have a realistic environment to train the people. That is the main purpose of, we are educated, universities are educating the people, right?
Yeah.
And apart from that, as a researcher, we try to spin out companies, and we engage the people as part of the Smart Nation initiatives. We train the government and industries into OT security. So we need this environment so that we can advance the research. At the same time, we can also translate the same to government and industry.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sulaiman, can I add another question,
sure.
if it's okay?
Go ahead.
I just have a question for you as well. From a research perspective, from your side, because you're into the research part and the academic part as well, what's the most effective countermeasure for industrial control systems? And what would you rank? If I told you, give me one countermeasure, you'd say that was the most effective one that I would use from a research perspective.
I think this depends on what is the state of the security at the moment any organization is holding, right? So I cannot judge, I cannot assume exactly what kind of security state of organization is without evaluating that state. But to my mind, so SCADA systems and remote desktop, sometimes in oil and gas to water and power systems, we do provide remote access for various reasons, for easy management, and sometimes operators try to access and even for management purposes. So when we were building this power plant, engineer always wants to control remotely the power generation. We have 2 generators. This entirely can generate 72 kilowatts. It's not huge, like, not industry scale, but for a university setting, 72 kilowatts power generation is a big one. And so whenever there is a problem, engineers do not want to come and work in the lab to make it better. So he want to have a remote access. And we were worrying that, oh, you are working in this setup, OT setup, and you want to have a OT. So it is better to not to have a default passwords, at least for these settings. That is first thing I would say, without knowing any of the state of the security at the moment. Yeah.
Okay. Mr. Ali, it's very interesting that you are maybe thinking to develop a project for smart water facility, or is it smart what?
Smart Souk al-Mbarkiya.
Smart Souk al-Mbarkiya.
Everything, yes.
You didn't elaborate enough in the lecture. Could you tell us more about it, how it looks like, and how will you implement it? And do you have the agreement from the...
I don't have the agreement, actually. It's a dream for me. I wanted to implement. I have been working back in 2018 on the same, prototype, a small prototype. It is, I used a Raspberry Pi to simulate the, the traffic lights and use an AI that helps connected also to computers, for example, to an ambulance or a police station or any control system that controls these things using AI, for example. And then I think move to water systems, control the water system within Mbarkiya, and later to noise system. Like, for example, if you want to introduce, in February where we have celebrations and these things, how you control the noise system. And then how to control the traffic, the crowd, how the people will enter. And then the major thing I have noticed, and while adopting, I have been, sitting there for almost 2 weeks, going every single day to Mbarkiya, and I have analyzed the parking is the main issue, people where they are coming, the police men where they stop the traffic lights. So I have identified, for example, the parking, how to move the crowd to the available parking lots. So these things were developed basically on a lab. I hope that one day that we will see them controlling everything. So
maybe let's focus on water, because it's very close to ICS more than the rest. Why do you think you need to make develop water system there? Why do you think you want to do this?
And I want to, first avoid any water waste. Use the water for, building a fountain, control it, use that water system on a free water fountain, a free decoration fountains, control any waste will happen during, if we are using these types of things in Mbarkiya.
Okay, so will you use industrial devices for the water facility?
I was thinking to have a PLC, for example, a controller, to control these, and the admins, the operators will have, connected to, let's say, Ministry of Works. They have directly a pipeline under the, next to the parking where is the underground, and it's connected directly to Mbarkiya. Maybe it will be connected also, from the sea where we have, these things, refineries, and directly comes to our to Mbarkiya directly, and how we control them, time to close, when you close it, when you open it, based on what, and these things.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Mr. Dhari. When you mentioned the challenges for implementing OT's cybersecurity, you mentioned 4 categories or 4.
Yes.
Do you think these challenges apply in everywhere, or just maybe in Kuwait?
Actually, the challenges were based on knowledge. Yeah, so we had deficiency in knowledge at that time. So the more we became mature as an organization, the more we understood how to protect ourselves. So today, if you tell me to start a new cybersecurity program, it would be much more efficient, easier, clearer, to the point, and very organized in that manner. And the standard, the 62443 standard, is a great standard to adopt, to learn from, and to use the tools that are available in the standard as well, such as the CSMS. If you ask today, what is the highest risk your organization is facing today, that would change on a daily basis. So we have to keep updated, knowing what's happening around us, aware about the issues around us, especially in a geopolitical region as well. And the solutions that we employ protect us based on that risks that we have identified earlier. And that was one of the key parts which we mentioned. So to organize or to sum up, you have to follow a standard. You shouldn't do something from the start. If you are mature enough to build your own standard later on, then excellent, do that. And many organizations do that, but based on their risk tolerance and what they accept as risk or not. So this is how you mature in cybersecurity. This is how you understand the risks behind it, and you add to it.
Any question for Mr. Dhari or the guests?
Yes,
Can I ask a question?
Any question?
You know, standards come much later when research community know about it for sure, 100% verified and tested. I mean, many, not only once, like 100 times, then it becomes a standard, right? Okay, so do you want to follow standard? That means there are people who are much ahead. So if there are research people, and of course many governments, they might have many different things which they are not revealing, of course, number of reasons. So they are also ahead of the standards. So if you want to follow standards, then how you want to cope up with all these people?
Okay, this is an excellent question, and this is actually a dilemma we face usually. So just to add to what you're saying, I'll just give you an example. Like the standard doesn't today, if we open the standard, the 62443, it doesn't talk about virtualization, virtual environments. It doesn't talk about cloud computing. So these are emerging, technologies that are well established in the IT sector. However, it's really difficult to implement in the OT sector. So what do we do in this instance? We evaluate the opportunities based on the threats that we face. So we have to see how we can secure it, put it in place. However, keep in mind, at the end of the day, you have insurance in place. So your insurance will audit you based on the standard. You have auditors in place which will audit you based on the standard. So if you deviate outside that standard, you're deviating out of the game. Unless you have defined and created your own standard and advanced to have a maturity of that level, then you shouldn't do it. So you should have a real understanding of what you have in place, and that's possible. That's allowed in the future. Yeah.
I remember I had a chat with you before, Dhari.
Yes, go ahead.
About virtualization. And when Dr. Sridhar talked about digital twins, what do you think about it? It's kind of virtualization, right?
Yes.
So what do you think about it?
Yes. I'm going to ask you the opposite question. If I get you eggs and put them in one basket and provided you with these eggs, would you have the risk of breaking these eggs in one basket, or would you spread out that risk? What would you think? Eggs, normal eggs from the supermarket. Would you spread? You'd usually spread that eggs. So basically spread the risk. So when you have all your system in a virtual machine, you're putting the risk on top of a risk on top of a risk. So your risk will be very high. How do you tackle that risk to bring it down? How do you bring it into an acceptable level? And this is where the key dilemma is. So to answer your question, for me personally, in my opinion, any service that is supporting the OT environment, in our terms it's called level 3 and above, I would allow virtualization. But anything in level 2 and below,
no.
I would prefer each one separately, because the damage can be done only on one server, rather than having the damage on all the servers at once. And we can see today the vulnerabilities. I can easily show you vulnerabilities in VMware and HyperX and all of the virtualization technologies nowadays. So the vulnerabilities are there. If one gets spoiled, the other will be spoiled as well. So you have to keep that in mind before you take that decision.
Sorry, when you mentioned level, is it technology readiness or what levels you are referring to?
So in level, I'm talking about the Purdue model, where we have the, Level 0 is the transmitters, level 1 the controllers, 2.
Because sometimes, you know, somebody might say that, okay, oh, the technology readiness levels, you know, we have like until 7.
Yes, that's the layers. Okay,
so
it's
I was
layers 1
confused
to
a
7.
bit. Thank you.
From the OSI model, yes. You're right.
Mr. Abdulaziz, ما نسيتك. You talked about isolation.
Yes.
Could you elaborate on, I mean, why it's important?
Yes, of course. You mean the network isolation? So the environment, the IT environment or the OT environment have a different level of criticality. Let's say if we have at our house, some places can be visited by any visitor or guest, but the room which have some money or have some gold, you need to have some security or do not let any unauthorized person to go to this room, so you protect your assets. Same thing in the IT and OT environment. When we talk about the OT, some of OT devices can be very critical as a sensor sensor which taken temperature of the tank. If the temperature of the tank is high, then you need to do an action to reduce the tank temperature. Otherwise, it will have a big damage. So you need to have a good monitoring and good security for these sensors in a way that you reduce the risk of other devices. So you make those sensors in VLAN, or you make it in separate room, while the other lower criticality in different room. Once the attack happen in room number 1, it will not affect or impact the devices in room number 2. In this way, you're going to reduce the risks in different level, and you reduce the impact which might be affect the business.
Thank you. Any comments?
Something came to my mind when he was speaking. Actually, nice movie. Everybody was enjoying, I think, for your movie. The question related to is, like you mentioned, you want to secure everything so that every sensor or every component. So how about some people want to keep honeypots? Or they want to keep some unsecured components into the network or close to the OT environment, so that attackers can attack those unsecured components, or you are deceiving an attacker. Yeah. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I understand this. See, honeyspot can be used in different way, whether to make the attacker be busy. By the way, the honeyspot is something to interact the attacker, to let the attacker attack something that we want him to attack it, instead of attacking our real environment. So why we use the honeyspot in this case? I think, as we said, we're going to let the attacker be busy with something that it's not impacting our business. Plus, we need to know, we need to study which attack, where we are targeted or not targeted by the attacker. In this case, our analyst or our cybersecurity team going to read the information that came from this honeyspot and study how to prevent or increase our security. So what I want to highlight, I can see some sign the time is about to end. So what I want to highlight in honeyspot is not only to interact the attacker, I also recommend to have the insight information came to this honeyspot to know the behavior of the attacker, and you can also know if there is any attacker is targeting your environment.
That's it for today. Thank you very much. Have a good time.
Very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much once again to all of our panelists. It brings us to the end of our session, so now's the lunch break. Lunch is served up on the 3rd floor. We're going to return here around 2:45 for our final session of the day, which will have a theme of capacity building. That brings to an end my time as your MC. Been a pleasure. Thank you very much all, and enjoy the rest of the conference. Thank you.